Hi everyone, it's Chana Mason here, and I am so excited for this special edition here in our live sessions in the Vitality Hub. We have a really special guest, someone who just told me that she's looking forward to getting to know me better, which is so exciting because I've been really wanting to get to know her, and I've been kind of following her around for a few years now. Her name is Leah Gniwech, and she is how do I explain it? She's just a coach extraordinaire. She's well known in the Jerusalem community for really empowering other people to coach, and she teaches coaches and also working with people in making their lives more joyful and productive and meaningful. And so I'm really excited to bring her on because as a coach myself, I don't always get such a chance to dig into the intricacies of how other people work with people because we're all kind of doing our thing. So it's really fun to get the opportunity to get to know another coach. And so Leah Gniwech has given us her time, and I'm looking forward to bringing her in and sharing her insights with you. And if you have any questions, please put them in the comments so that I can take a look at them and we have the opportunity to respond. And of course, if there's something you're excited about that you hear that resonates with you, also put that in the comments. Okay, without further ado, Leah is voila, here. Hey, Leah, great to have you.
Hi. Great to be here. Thank you so much for this invitation. Super excited to be here.
So it's awesome to have you. And I was wondering if you could just share with us really right from the start, like if you were to pick, how your journey got you to this place where you're living in Israel and not only coaching people, but teaching other people how to become coaches. So what led you on this whole journey? Like, where did it all start?
So I have a friend who says with his kids, they always say, do you want the child size? Do you want the family size? Do you want the mega size? So which one do you want?
I don't know.
I'm
whatever
give you the child size
at the moment. They all sound good in different ways.
I'll give you the short. It's an incredible story, and I've written it in the introduction to a book that I'm writing, but I'll give you the really short version actually. So the way that I got into coaching was really something so miraculous. It seemed like a coincidence, but I really don't believe in coincidences. And the short version is that many, many years ago, 22 years ago, I was really struggling in a difficult marriage and with someone whom I really loved, but the marriage really wasn't working. And I had a baby, I had a small baby, and it was a very, very difficult time. It was a very painful time. And the challenges that I was facing were really enormous, and also the decisions that I was making about whether to stay in the marriage. We tried to make it work, or whether I was going to leave the marriage. And the result of I was going through emotionally was that I got physically sick. Actually, it took its toll on me physically. And for the first time in my life, thank God, I've been blessed with good health so far. I hope to continue to be blessed. I take good care of myself. And it was the first time in my life I got sick. And I ended up in the hospital.
Wow.
And yeah, and when I got out of the hospital, I was looking for ways to really heal myself and restore my body and my mind to their previous health and robustness. And I met a coach during that search for a way to heal myself. And I later chose him to be my teacher, to mentor me in coaching. And that's how all of it started. So, and that's hence the title to this, which is, how our challenges can really lead us to the biggest growth. It was really from lemons to lemonade. I started out in the hospital, and then it ended up in me totally changing my life direction and helping people all over the world through coaching. So that's the short version.
That's the short version.
Yeah.
So what led you to go to a coach exactly? Like, why was that the choice that you made when you were trying to heal?
So true confession, when I got out of the hospital, I went to a spa. There was a vegan spa in Florida. I was living in Muncie at the time. My friends had gone there. They recommended this spa. And I went down to the spa, and I was doing anything that I could. I was reading, I was doing yoga, I was meditating. And on the services brochure of the spa, there was this coach who was also a PhD psychologist. I'm a clinical psychologist. I have a PhD. And I saw there was somebody on staff who he had a PhD, and he was doing something called coaching. I had no idea what coaching was. I'd never heard of coaching.
It was very nascent back then.
it was totally nascent back then. So I was signing up for massages. I was signing up for this class and this training, that training. It's like, okay, you know, all right, I'm here. You know, I have a week, and so it was through no wisdom of my own. Honestly, it was just pure dumb luck, and the desire to do anything that I could in order to feel better. You know, I had a little baby I was still nursing, and you know, I've always been a really positive and upbeat person, and I just wanted to get myself back. So I was willing to try anything. And from the first session, so I did a session with this coach who also, as I said, was a PhD psychologist. He was from Suriname. I'd never heard of that country. Most people who are listening are going to be like, Suriname, where's that? Is it Africa? Is it Asia? What is it? I'll leave that for geography class. And so he does this session with me. And I was a trained therapist. I trained in CBT. I trained in psychodynamic therapy. I trained in couples therapy. You know, I'd gone through the whole PhD thing. And then I had this session with him, and it was, first of all, it was probably 2 hours, 90 minutes, 2 hours, and it just kept going. And the techniques that he used in this session I was like, what the heck is this? I mean, I'd never experienced anything like it.
They weren't like in your book, so to speak.
They weren't the way that I had trained. They weren't what I had experienced before as a therapy patient or an analysis patient. You know, I had done therapy. You know, I'd done therapy when I was 18 in Israel, and I had done analysis when I was a grad student. You know, it's recommended to do analysis. And then he came in, and it was like, what the heck is this? I didn't even know what it was, but it was so impactful and so powerful that what we did in 90 minutes was more important than 3 years of analysis. And it was really eye-opening for me. And it was almost like you know, like water just being thrown on my face, you know, just kind of a bucket of water, but in a good way. And so after that first session with him, I think I arrived in the spa on Sunday, and I think my first session with him was on Monday, and then I booked another session. I said, we do more. Yeah, so it was just me being open to whatever would work. And this was the thing that I felt was the most impactful.
So I know this is really personal and vulnerable, and you can totally say no, but I'm just curious, do you remember maybe one thing that happened in that session? Like one technique that you used?
So I'm not going to go into the particulars of the techniques and what he did. First of all, it's over 20 years ago, but yeah, I do remember some of it. I do remember some of it, but it is private. But he was really working with me in a relaxed state. So he was not only a coach, but he was a clinical hypnotherapist who did a special type of hypnotherapy. I think it's called emotional, what's it called? I forgot what it's called. So a lot of what we were doing was in a trance state. So I was in a deep, relaxed state while he was talking and asking me questions. And the depth of the session was so powerful for me that it changed my life. It changed me and was a catalyst for me changing my life.
Amazing. Wow. So we've got like a curious, inquiring mind over here in the chat asking what happened to your marriage after that.
Oh my gosh. So I decided to leave the marriage. And my husband and I continued to raise our son together. You know, we were very united, divorced parents. And
this, you're living in New York at the time, right?
Yeah.
And what led you here to Israel?
So when I was 17, I came to Israel after high school. That's what girls did after high school. I went to a religious Jewish high school, and it was the thing to do. You came for another year of Judaic studies in Israel. I'd never been to Israel before. And 3 months in, I was 17, as I said. I graduated a little early. And after 3 months, I was completely besotted with Israel. I mean, I was in love with Israel. I loved the people. I loved the language. I loved the spirituality. I loved the weather. I loved the Eastern mix with the Western. I was completely in love with Israel, and I decided to stay. And I stayed for 9 years. And then 9 years in, I decided to go back to America to do my PhD in clinical psychology, because I felt like I was in a very fine department here, a very prestigious department, but I felt that that the U.S. was more cutting edge when it came to psychology, and I wanted to study in the very best place. So I moved back to the United States.
Wow.
Then, always with the intention to come back to Israel. So this is my second time living here.
And how long have you been here the second round?
Coming, I call it.
How long have you been here the second coming?
Okay, hold on one second. I've lost you, and I'm not sure why. Say something. I'm sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I am. Sorry.
Okay. How long have you been here now? This time?
15 years.
15 years. Very cool.
15 years. I came back 15 years ago.
And by then you'd already started working as a coach?
Yeah. So I retrained as a coach. The continuation of the story from whoever's asking in chat, I can't see the chat, but the continuation of the story is that unfortunately my son's father got leukemia, and he got really sick.
Oh.
And that was a really hard time for our family, obviously. And I ended up doing more coaching with Dr. Koenig, who was the person I had met in the spa all those years before. Also a miraculous story. It's for another, I mean, you could make a movie out of all the connections here, but it was such a difficult time as I was trying to support my little boy. He was 4. My mother-in-law, who I'm really close with, I spoke to her yesterday. We're still really close. Support my ex-husband. And I needed more coaching to really regain my resilience. And so I did some coaching on the phone with him to Florida. And someplace into that, I said, I've got to train with you. And he laughed and he said, "Oh, you said that to me 3 years ago at the spa." And I said, "I did?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Okay, it's time." And in another miracle, my parents had just retired and moved down to Florida, 25 minutes from where he lived.
Wow.
So yeah, it all came together. And so I moved down to Florida while my son's Abba, his father, was having a bone marrow transplant. So we couldn't see him anyways. And I trained as a coach. I went down to Florida. I looked into all the New York programs. There were a lot of programs in NYU and in New Jersey. I was in Manhattan by that time. And they all seemed really superficial. They just didn't seem as powerful and holistic as what I had experienced with Dr. Koenig. They might have been famous, they might have been prestigious, but I wasn't really interested in that at that point. That's never been my driving factor, is prestige. I'd really rather go where the quality of education is. And I knew that this was the person who had the most to offer me as a teacher. The system was so holistic and client-centered, with excellent values and highly professional and ethical. And it had all the things in it that I really wanted to embody in my own practice. So that's how that came to be. So I retrained. I completely changed the way I work. I left behind the psychology world. I call myself a recovering psychologist.
Okay, so if you were, for people who are not, like in either of these worlds, can you sort of give us a lowdown in your own words, in as simple language as possible, what you would say is the difference between your experience of psychology and your experience of coaching?
So I'm actually looking forward to giving a TED Talk on this, but I'll try to parse it down, because I know we've got a limited time. In general, the objective in therapy is insight. It's to understand ourselves better, right? So let's say, for example, when I first went to therapy when I was 18, it was to really figure out my family dynamics. My father was a Holocaust survivor. There was a lot of things I needed to really think about. I wanted the insight. The objective of coaching is to reach a goal, actually. And the goal can be anything. It can be feeling more self-confident. It can be being more self-aware. That is a coaching goal. I'm actually supervising a student now who's working with a woman who wants to be more self-aware and self-accepting. It could be finding a job that I find to be fulfilling and that I'm passionate about in order to make an impact in the world, whatever it is. So again, in a nutshell, I see that as the main difference. In general, therapy is for insight and coaching is to reach a goal. And it's more about like really fomenting and being a catalyst for change, so that the person can use their own strengths, skills, and abilities to change their lives for the better.
Okay. So why did you make that shift? Because from what I'm hearing from you, I could see why both would be meaningful. So why did you shift into coaching and out of classical psychology?
So the truth is that there were many things that I enjoyed in psychology. I was a researcher. I really loved that. I was a depression researcher. I was a pharmacology researcher at Cornell. In antidepressants, that's one of my areas of expertise. So there are many things that I really liked in the psychology world. There's a lot of really smart people there. But already starting from when I was a graduate student, I was feeling some reservations, actually. I read a book, it's actually on my shelf, by Jeffrey Moussaïf Masson, called Against Therapy. And in it, this English Freudian analyst goes through all the major psychology schools, everything from Carl Rogers to Freud, Jung, everything. And he really explains how there are ethical problems in all of them. And one of the ethical problems, for example, is that therapy creates dependencies on us as therapists in our patients who are considered patients. And there's a big hierarchy, right? I'm the expert. I come in, I'm the patient. I'm the therapist. The patient is on my couch telling me all the terrible things about themselves. And my heart lies in being equal with my clients as we co-create together. I'm not the smart one in the room. If anything, my client is the expert on their own experience. And I trust my client to be a self-healing system, because I firmly believe that we all have internal wisdom that can help us answer any question or make any decision that we need to make. And as your coach, right, I'm helping you as my client simply discover those answers and those strengths within yourself. I'm not going to spoon feed you. I'm not going to be your guru. You're not going to depend on me for 2 years on my couch. I'm going to help you stand on your own 2 feet and find your own answers and your own strengths so you can do anything that you want and live a full and robust, fulfilling life and not need me as quickly as possible.
Right. It's so amazing to hear that, because that's like totally resonates with all of my experience, except my only experience with psychology, to be honest, is being the person on the couch. And everything you just said is what I learned just observing that. That's how it felt. So it's really cool to hear you say that, because it totally resonates. Like, I think about the word coach as it's classically used as an athletic coach. And no one ever sees the athletic coach as being like the better runner. That's not really the point. They're not like there to do the running for you. And usually when someone goes to an athletic coach, they're looking for someone who can see them from the outside, someone who can offer them tips and distinctions, someone who can offer them accountability and feedback. But like, it's, all of the work is really yours. It all belongs to you.
Yeah.
That's really cool to hear you say that. I like that a lot. So I was wondering if you could share with us something like a tool that you use in your coaching practice that's simple enough that we could apply it to our lives on a day-to-day basis, that's been particularly meaningful for you.
Sure. So first of all, Chana, I want to tell you, I hope this is okay. Since the start of the corona pandemic, I've actually been publishing regular tips on social media for free. As soon as the pandemic hit, I wanted to get as much information as quickly as possible for free to anybody who needed it all over the world. A lot of my students did the same. A lot of them were coaching for free. So just so you know, later on, if anybody watching this wants to go on and get more tips, they can, either on Instagram or on my Facebook page. Okay.
So that Instagram link you gave me, I can post that now. So that's where people can find those tips. That's amazing. Okay, great.
Absolutely. So there's there's a lot of video tips. Most of them are vlogs, and also on my Facebook professional page, which is Leah Gniwesch, PhD. And I'm happy to give a tip now. And let me give you one that I think is particularly useful for this Corona time. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Actually, and I recorded a video that's actually related to this yesterday. I'll be posting it later today. So something that I find really powerful, I'm a big believer in journaling, actually, and I teach very specific types of journaling to my students and to my clients. And what I find with journaling is it really helps us get into virtuous cycles. If somebody's in a vicious cycle, it can really help reverse habits and really set the tone for a positive and productive, joyous day. And so let me pick out one. I'll pick out one journaling technique and give it to you. Is that okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, great. So I call this success
journal.
I'll send you the chapter of my book later if you need to review. So I call this success journaling. And by the way, I encourage everybody to get a journal that they love writing in. You're worth it. Get something beautiful. It's always so wonderful for me when my clients come in and they show me this gorgeous, like, handmade paper that they've bought for themselves. They haven't bought anything for themselves. They came in the first week and they've got this little notebook that was half used by their fourth grader, and they bring it in and I say, come on. And then they go and they get handmade paper. So if you can afford it, you go and get yourself a beautiful leather or whatever you want kind of journal. Because
and a gorgeous pen to go with it. There has to be the
absolutely
pretty pen, because that goes
absolutely.
with the pretty journal.
I'm a big traveler, so whenever I travel, my new pen is an olive wood pen from my last trip. It was to Corfu in Albania last year. I always pick up pens when I'm going that remind me of my favorite places in the world. So the way to do this is super simple. And by the way, the more simple a technique is, for me, it's the most impactful. We don't need a lot of jargon or big words. The simpler I am as your coach, the better the results you're going to have. Okay, so it's really simple. All you need to do is, in the morning when you wake up, in your journal, you write one thing that you're going to do for yourself that day. And it doesn't have to be expensive or time consuming. It could be, I'm going to eat a healthy lunch today. It could be, I'm going to meet a friend for coffee today. It could be, I'm going to read a book for pleasure today. I'm going to get a babysitter for the kids and take a walk with my husband today, whatever it is. And then at the end of the day, you're going to chronicle what you did. Went for a half an hour walk with my husband. And what's really important is you're going to write all the benefits that you got from doing that. So for example, if you go for a walk with your husband, the benefits might be, got physical exercise, took care of my body, got quality time with my partner, with nobody else around, so we could really invest in our relationship. Saw beautiful nature, cleared our heads from our day at work, or whatever else it is. And just that simple technique of writing down one thing in the morning that you're gonna do for yourself, and then at the end of the day, writing down what you did and the benefits, can change your life for the better.
So I'm curious to know, because I have my own thoughts about this, and I'm curious to know what you have to say about what's the purpose of writing the benefits of, let's say I went for a walk with my husband, which is a perfect example, because that's something we love to do. So I go for a walk with my husband and I put that and I'm writing benefits. What's the purpose of the benefits part?
The purpose of the benefits part is to maximize the benefit that you get from everything that you do for yourself, because every human action is purposeful. Every single thing, right? I just took a drink that has a positive intention for me. Everything that we do wants something good for us. And we need to raise our level of self-awareness about what's good for us and what's not good for us, what we like, what we don't like, what you like, what you don't like. And when you have in black and white at the end of the week, right, all these things that you did for yourself with all these benefits, just imagine that, okay? So anybody who's listening to this right now, imagine that you today commit to doing something for yourself, not for your kids, not for your mother, not for your spouse. And at the end of the day, you've done it. And you write down all the benefits. And I mean really dig deep, not just, oh, it was good. No, I mean really dig deep as an exercise in self-awareness. Don't cheat. I'm not checking, don't cheat. I'm doing this for you. Can you imagine what benefits you're going to have from that?
What comes up for me in my mind is in thinking about how often we tend to erase so much of the evidence of what's actually happening in our lives. Like we tune out a lot of data that doesn't fit our story. So it's like if I have a story that, my life isn't meaningful or that it sucks, so I might erase all this other stuff. So an example that just like popped in my head is this student in one of my classes was talking about how she has no self-discipline. And I happen to know that she's an observant Jew. And I said, oh, do you keep kosher? And she's like, oh, but that doesn't count. And it was like such like a cool, right? Like all these places where she does have self-discipline, those don't count. And so what you're saying is like, it's like almost like putting a magnifying glass onto the walk that I did with my husband, which I would normally say is no big deal, but it's like, I'm going to make that little thing, I'm going to make it really big. So I can maximize like the amount of enjoyment I get out of it, even after it's already happened. I'm making it bigger than it was.
Exactly. And imagine also how that's going to impact on your self-esteem, your feelings of integrity, because every single time I say I'm going to do something and I do it, it increases my integrity, which is fundamental to your well-being, right? The other thing that's really important is it's a kind of positive feedback loop. And what I mean by that is when you look down at your journal and you see, took a walk with my husband, loved being together and investing in our relationship, got great physical exercise, beautiful, saw beautiful, all these things. Are you more or less likely to take another walk with your husband?
Because it's like I've turned up the volume on all of the benefits rather than making it small. I've made it really big. So now it's like really addicting. It's like feeding all.
It's going to reinforce the positive behavior. Exactly. And we want to create those loops where you're doing more and more and more for your own wellness.
And it's interesting you said to commit to one thing, because I tend to commit to like 20 things. And then if I only do 19, then I feel like I messed up that day. So you're kind of saying, no, one thing.
One thing. One thing. One thing. And later we'll expand that further. I have systematic ways, depending on the client, right? Because everything that I do with someone, it's tailor-made for them, right? So it depends on what the person's coming to me for, what they need, what they're asking for, right? So from there, we'll build the journal that's going to be perfect for them. Okay, but the one that I just gave you, anybody can use.
Yeah, it just feels like really usable and universal.
Super simple. Super,
Amazing.
super simple.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It's interesting because I've been keeping the gratitude journal the past few months, but I realize like I'll say that I'm grateful for, I don't know, playing a game with my husband. That feels very different from really taking the time to flesh out all of the benefits of that. That's a different type of gratitude. So like I get stuck trying to come up, it's like 100 things. And every day it's like, oh my gosh, like I'm running out. But this is different because it's like going even further, like even deeper into each little thing and making it bigger. I like that a lot. Thank you for that. Because remember,
what we notice gets bigger and more impactful. That's why it's a good thing not to read or watch too much negative news. It gets bigger.
Yeah, that's kind of like a no-no in our house for sure. So, okay, so I posted your Instagram to the group, and I was wondering if you could give me also your Facebook so I could post that to the group also, and your website. Can we?
Sure. And I know that you, Did you want me to do that now?
Yeah, if you don't mind, that would be great. You can send them in the private chat and then I'll post them up in the comments. And so you're posting tips on Instagram and also on Facebook. So it's kind of like dual posting on Facebook and Instagram?
Uh-huh.
Okay, amazing. So right, you can sort of pick which one, which is your happy place. And here we've got the, okay. Yes, go for it. So also Leah is running it's not showing. It'll show. Oh, it's not showing on, it's only showing. No, that's wrong. Oh, I guess, okay. I don't really know how else to do it. It should be showing. Okay, I'm not doing this very well. Okay, let's just put the Facebook one for now. Here we go. It's supposed to be showing, but for some reason it's not showing. Okay, Natalie, maybe you could post the links on Facebook because I don't know how to get it to do it. But in any case, so Leah, tell us a little bit about your coaching school, because you do have a coaching school, and we'll close with that.
Okay, great. So I'm always excited to speak about the Jerusalem Coaching Institute. It's the school that I founded almost 15 years ago when I came back to Israel, where I am training the finest coaches in Israel in the most robust, ethical program that exists. And I feel really honored and blessed to be teaching there. We're just wrapping up our summer program now. I've got incredible applicants for the fall. We start again in October in our flagship course that runs every fall and winter with applicants from all over the world. The caliber is just been consistently high. It just seems to be getting better and better, and also a really wonderful mix of people from all over the world. I mean, this year we've got Peru, Italy, South Africa. We've got everything.
And you do this all online?
No. So some of it is online and some of it is actually in our beautiful classroom in Jerusalem. And it's dependent on what's going on with Corona in October. So it's wait and see. So that's been really, really exciting, and to just see the caliber of students and also the wonderful coaching that they're doing really all over the world in all their different specialties, everything from working with parents of kids with autism to depression, whatever it is. So it's a really special school. I emphasize from the very first day, people are being coached and they're learning how to coach, to think and act and live like coaches from the second they walk into the classroom. And it's been so gratifying to see people transform. It's a small boutique school. For me, when I set it up, it was so important that it would be a place that was so highly professional and ethical, and it wouldn't be another diploma factory where anybody who had money would get in. I screen.
I've seen all these places online that kind of look like really spammy, salesy.
Oh my God, I get the ads. And by the way, I've retrained a bunch of people who have gone through some of the most expensive programs in the world, and they still don't know how to coach. And then they come and then I retrain them. So it's been really exciting for me to offer high quality coaching to people like you who really want to help people live full lives and feel excited about that. I'm obsessed with giving my students the most holistic and powerful coaching tools that exist in the planet so that they can help their clients live full and empowered lives. And that is all we are doing in my school. And it's phenomenal. We've got this great community of alumni from the past 14 years, friendships that have been made of people who wouldn't have met otherwise, and who are, actually one of my former students I'm now working with because she's got a specialty and she's helping me, and that, what could be better?
It's beautiful.
So I have a couple of spots left for the fall. So if any of your listeners are, the kind of people who people naturally come to, a lot of times people come to me and say, oh, I'm the go-to person. People come to me. I'm always the one giving advice. Somebody has a problem, they come to me, and I'm ready. I want to but I don't feel like sometimes, I
don't have the tools to like,
oh my God, people. Like somebody came to me, they're going through this, but I don't know. I'm afraid I need a system, right? So a lot, those are the types of people, and I'm sure you've got listeners like that, or people like that, people who really want to be of service and help people live full and empowered lives, but they really need a proven system to do that. So it's so exciting for me I've trained an entire generation of coaches together with my teacher who's a supervisor in the school.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So now, he
passing the baton forward.
Exactly. Because there's a limit to how many people I can coach in my office. And for me, life is short and I want to make the greatest impact as possible. I want to help as many people out there live great lives and not need me more.
It's amazing.
In a way that's holistic and healthy and brings good into the world, whatever their particular contribution it is. It could be finding new green energy. It could be raising kids that are respectful, wonderful human beings. It doesn't make, we all have something that we can contribute to this world. And for me, I'm passionate about helping people live into that so they can really increase their impact in whatever way you have, whatever your purpose
whatever
is.
kind of athlete you are, if you're a food athlete, if you're a family athlete, if you're a business athlete, like, you need a coach. Yeah, totally.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for sharing your passion and your enthusiasm and your story with us. And this journaling tool, I absolutely love. I'm looking forward tomorrow morning when I sit with my journal to start my day that way. So thank you so much. And so we have all the show notes people can see in the comments, both on Facebook and on YouTube, how people can find you and gain more tips and insights on how you can get, not just through Corona, but just through life in general, with more enthusiasm and joy and meaning. So Thank you so much.
Can I add one more thing? If anybody has any questions on this, and they want to be in touch with me, you can let them know how to be in touch with me. I'm always happy to give them my time. If anybody needs a quick conversation with me about something, or they have a quick question about what I said, they can feel free to be in touch with me. It'll be my pleasure and honor.
Awesome. Thank you so much.